Hello and welcome to the show. In today's Downhill Chaos, we're going to have another go with the Sandking XL. I believe it's the XL version. When I did this first time, the thing was rear-wheel drive. I was trying to show that it was four-wheel drive. Apparently that rock there is far more manoeuvrable than I expected. Random scream also from somebody. I don't know where. It wasn't from them hikers because they don't give a crap. So yeah, the Sandking is now four-wheel drive. You can see the front wheels are spinning, the rear wheels are spinning. This is just how I test to make sure a vehicle is four-wheel drive. Just put it up against a wall and spin the wheels. Because if you sit there and hold accelerator and brake, it will just spin the rear wheels on pretty much every vehicle except for the two front-wheel drive ones. So yeah, the Sandking, last time I went down here, didn't actually do particularly well. While yes, it is a good off-road vehicle, there are some downsides to it. The first being the suspension. While yes, it has huge amounts of ground clearance, and you won't have the kind of pinging around effect you get with the very low sports cars, it's somewhat soft, and it is also rather high, which means you get quite a lot of body roll. So rather than sort of pinging about because of low suspension, you have problems with just bouncing around on the suspension. It is also a rather large car, and I may possibly have misjudged the hairpin a little bit as we go tumbling off down the hill. This is not the easiest of vehicles. It is very good off-road. It's a great big thing. However, it is not not the most agile of vehicles. You can see here, once you do start getting it off the ground, if you start getting it bouncing, it will bounce for quite a while. And that can make it a real pain to drive. I just got it a little bit wrong there. And yeah, off we go. The size is an issue as well with this thing. It's a ridiculously big thing. Okay, it's not quite as long as the likes of the fire truck, but it's a lot longer than most of the cars that we have down here, which makes some of the corners a little bit more tricky. Yeah, despite this thing, like, just looking at it, you would say this is good off-road. It is actually quite challenging to get it down here. You can see here, I got one little bit wrong, and it bounces about on the suspension, and it keeps bouncing. Just about. Just got it recovered there. So you go down here, yeah, there's another big bounce. Oh, that's not gone well. I'm going to spin it round again, and I'm somehow going to save it. And we're going to sort of get it. There we go. Back in a straight line. That's quite useful. And found another bit to crash it off. Safe to say that wasn't the cleanest of runs. I made it to the bottom. I may have lost a door. It is a Sandking Superleggera. No, it's a little bit tricky. I may have overshot that bit just a tiny bit. The brakes aren't too bad considering the size of this vehicle. It's a rather big truck, and I'm going to presume the weight of this vehicle as well. It does get stopped pretty well. It has fairly good acceleration, and now because it is four-wheel drive, it's got better traction and so on. It's pretty quick. It does get stopped pretty well, but it's this bouncing. You can see how much it bounces around on the suspension when you hit the ground. And that's what's making it such a pain to drive. You can see there's also how much body roll you get when you go through the corners, meaning the handling isn't excellent. A hiker is going to have a very bad... Ooh, almost cleared him from the bounce of that. Yeah, and then we go wide, and then you can see he's bouncing and wobbling on the suspension, and that's not quite gone to plan. We had a similar problem actually with the Rebel. That also has quite bouncy suspension. Maybe not quite as bad as this. It doesn't quite have the huge ground clearance of the Sandking. But yeah, it's one of the downsides with a properly built off-road vehicle. You see there, I took the jump a little bit too fast. Got a load of airtime over there that I wouldn't normally. And no, we're not going to stop off that one. And there does seem to be sort of like a medium in the middle. The Kalahari, that was a really good vehicle for going because it had sort of good enough off-road suspension to sort of cope with the bumps, but it doesn't have this bouncing effect that you get with this. That was a really good run up until that point. And yeah, it was sort of going on two wheels. I had to counter steer to stop it from rolling, and in doing so I ended up throwing myself off the mountain. I wasn't too pleased about that one, if I'm honest. Anyway, I did get eventually a clean run out of this. This took far longer than it should have. I mean, I've driven much sillier vehicles down the mountain than this. This took a long time to get a decent run. I jumped over a couple of hikers that time. That would be a scary sight to see coming towards you. So yeah, for actual climbing up the mountain, now that this thing is four-wheel drive, it was so much easier. You really didn't have to even think about it. You just point car at mountain and go, and it's fine. It has absolutely no problems. Whereas the previous two-wheel drive version, it wasn't the happiest of vehicles. Yeah, it's okay off-roading, just sort of messing about. Off-roading is quite hard on a course like this that is quite tight, quite twisty, quite narrow in places. This thing's very wide as well. So yeah, it was a bit of a pain. However, of course, it's still going to be pretty damn quick. It's a fairly fast vehicle. As I said, as we come through these corners, everything is going to plan this time round. Yeah, the suspension is incredibly jumpy. As you see, I got all the wheels off the ground again. Hiker, I'm sorry, you're in a silly place and I'd lose so much time trying to avoid you that I'm going to splatter you. That jump there could prove a little bit difficult. Again, it's just the minute you hit on the landing, the suspension compresses, and as it rises back up, it will lift the truck into the air. I'm on 2 wheels most of the time down there. The problem with that corner, that sort of couple of corners, the truck's so wide that you have very little room to manoeuvre. However, the Sand King is across the line. I was rather happy to have completed the run with this vehicle. Wasn't the most fun of trucks trying to drive down there. It's great fun just messing about off-road on some places, but yeah, down that course is a little bit tricky. This one, everybody has been asking to do this vehicle. I couldn't do it before because if you quick save the game, even if I got it to the top of the mountain, if you quick save the game, the trailer would disappear. So I've had to do this in the content creator. That's why I had to get out the truck and kill somebody. I didn't know what weapon they had and I didn't want them to blow up my truck. This is in a deathmatch content created area, I guess. It's so that I could spawn in the vehicles that I want and everything. Also, not have the restriction of the minute you cross the finish line, it cut the video or cut the race, I guess. So yeah, that's why we're doing this in a deathmatch. Truck is not easy to drive. Funnily enough, it doesn't get stopped just at all. I got so lucky. Normally, if you go over and hit that rock, you are a goner. But I somehow got away with it. In the truck, wouldn't be quite so lucky the next corner. Well, it doesn't stop. It also isn't particularly manoeuvrable, and there goes the trailer. We're not gonna save that one. So, yeah, this one is. Well, I knew this one was going to be a pain. This was always going to be a rather tough challenge. Just trying to vaguely manoeuvre this thing, even if the course was completely flat. Manoeuvring this vehicle, sort of around the corners, would always be a little bit difficult. Yeah, this one, this one is an interesting one. To be fair, it has actually got some decent speed. I was amazed at how quickly this thing would kind of pick up speed. I mean, yeah, I know we're going downhill and everything, but other vehicles have struggled for speed a lot more. The pirouetting, spinning, out of control trailer, and now we're not going to stop that. That's going to go down that way for quite a long time. That trailer has done so many flips, and now my truck is joining it as well. Yeah, this is actually, I was surprised how quick this combination of vehicles were. Kind of just acceleration wide on the flat bits I'm talking here. Yeah, it's going to accelerate downhill quickly. But yeah, it was pretty quick, and the brakes, or the lack of brakes, is a real problem. It's the manoeuvrability though that is the biggest problem. It is a great big thing that just doesn't turn. I managed to go a little bit wide and bump the rock there. Yeah, there's just very little steering in this thing. I may have panicked and tried to make that corner with a handbrake. There goes the trailer as well, off down the side of the mountain. Yeah, no one's surprised that the truck is unmanoeuvrable. It's definitely the longest vehicle we've had on here. It does have the advantage of being articulated, whereas the bus is just one solid thing. This may be a little bit longer, however, it does kind of bend well, not quite in the middle, but you know what I mean. So when we come up to the hairpin, I was curious. I doubted we could make it, but it was worth a try. So I managed to make it just about around the corner before it, and no, it's it's not going to work. We may possibly... No, that's not a good angle, and now it's completely wedged off. Come on, move! I can't, of course, the steering wheels are in the air, and I'm now completely beached on the thing. I can go forward, but that's not where I want to go. I can't go backwards, so yeah, we may have got the truck a little bit stuck. Eventually, it kind of topples off the edge, and I'm trying to slow it down. It's not really gonna do very much. Trees, maybe rock. Okay, that'll do. Oh no, we're on our side. We rolled the truck near me. So yeah, that didn't quite go to plan. Managed to sort of recover it. I love how the trailer stayed connected through all of that as well. So the hairpin is a real problem because you can't take it. If you got rid of the trailer, you could probably carry enough speed with the truck cab to rip the handbrake and kind of get it swung round. But because you can't carry any speed at all, you can't do that with this. You maybe, if you did a very slow 3-point turn and were incredibly cautious, it's possible you could get the truck around there, but I think you would struggle because at slow speeds, just even the truck cab on its own is going to be quite tight getting around that corner. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure that the truck would ever fit around there. So I had to go back to the shortcut. The only shortcut, or the only time we ever used the shortcut, sorry, was in the first episode with the bus. Somehow I managed to get away with not rolling it through the... I don't know how I rescued that. But we're going to have to take the jump. Now this brings with it its own hazards, and that is you're trying to jump a truck with a trailer. Yeah, that landing wasn't exactly textbook. The trailers on here, I didn't realise how ridiculously strong the trailers were. They'll just stay attached to anything. It is now completely wedged on the rock, and I can't move it forwards. I can't go, yeah, I just completely got it stuck. So yeah, I have to take this jump, and the landing is by far the most difficult bit of this course. This was the best, that's the best landing I got the entire evening with the truck. That me crashing into a couple of rocks, that is the smoothest landing I got out of this truck. It is so hard to land it. While yes, you can manoeuvre the truck itself in the air, you can't manoeuvre the trailer, which does all sorts of crazy things. On the run, where I had that really good landing, I just couldn't get it stopped down here, and we fell over again. Didn't quite go onto the roof or whatever, and there we go. Yeah, that's broken. So yeah, the jump is problematic with this. It's problematic with just a normal vehicle, let alone one of this size. I was experimenting with different kind of angles and different kind of speeds, just trying to be able to get a good landing. But that's not a good angle or speed to approach the jump at. This one wasn't really that much better, as we're now facing that. No, we've managed to block the entire path with the trailer. Anyway, I did persist, I did carry on with the truck. To be honest, the truck probably took as long as the Sandking. They're both about the same amount of time, and that was blooming ages to get these. A lot of it was done, well, a lot of it is in the loading screens in between attempts, but it took a long time to get these down. I didn't have a particularly great camera, and I may have bumped the signpost on the start of the run. Just before I set off, I looked behind me, and there was like 2 of the AIs were coming to kill me, so I had to kind of go in a rather hurry. But yeah, once you got past the first section, it's a bit tricky just getting stopped for that first corner. It's a little bit narrow as well. Though this thing really isn't that much wider than the Sandking. In fact, I think the Sandking might be a little bit wider than the trailer of this. Of course, it's hugely long and very, very difficult to get stopped. The jump wasn't really perfect on this run. It got an okay landing. I say that it's on its side. The trailer is flapping about all over the place. But yeah, it wasn't quite the smoothest of landing, but however you land this, it's something is likely to have a problem with it, because the trailer goes all over the place. So it got away with a fairly okay landing. These corners, not particularly tricky, just about getting it slowed down enough to make the turn. Now something very bizarre happens here. I don't know why it does this. I don't know why it went onto its side. Luckily, I managed to kind of twist the truck back round and it flicked the trailer over so that it all stayed together and we could carry on. Again, lost a little bit of time on that, but not a particularly large amount. Again, it was a big jump that the truck often had problems landing a little awkwardly, although I don't know why it started flipping. As we go down this sort of very narrow section, again, very tricky in the truck, I'm pretty sure I'm on the brakes the entire way down there. And as we go around the second to last corner, I don't have any silly attempts at rolling like I did in the Sandking, and there we go. The semi-truck with the trailer has made it all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. Whew, that was it was an experience driving that truck down there. It is a real challenge. Just simply getting the thing to the bottom, not even worrying about speed, merely getting that thing down there. I was surprised actually, it didn't take the hours, like 2 or 3 hours that I feared it might. It was probably 40 minutes to get this thing down to the bottom of the mountain. So yeah, there we go. Two more vehicles have made it to the bottom of Mount Chiliad. The Sandking, the 4-wheel drive version of the Sandking, puts in a fairly impressive time, goes into 5th with a 1:27.3, very close, with the Voltic, and the Kalahari is also pretty damn close. It's quite a way off the Tailgater. It's also about 10 seconds quicker than the rear-wheel drive Sandking, partly down to, of course, having a proper drivetrain, and partly down to, I think the 2-wheel drive version of the Sandking was in the second ever video I did of Downhill Chaos, so I'm a little bit more experienced with this course. The semi-truck and trailer goes, well, it goes fastest of the sort of silly vehicles. I don't know if you count a mountain bike or a fire truck in the silly vehicle category or not. Either way, a 152.9 is pretty damn impressive. I was surprised. I was very surprised how quickly that got down there. When you look at the tractor, faster than the tractor, faster than the golf caddy, faster than the bus, which is the only other vehicle to have ever taken the shortcut. And that's what the little asterisk, whatever, you know what I mean, next to the name means, is because they had to take the shortcut. The R on the Prius's time is for the rain, and the S is for snow, and the P is for police, as everybody said I should put police with the Ocelot's time. Anyway, that is it for this episode of Downhill Chaos. I finally attempted to drive a semi-truck, and I did successfully get it to the bottom of the mountain with a trailer. I didn't put the explosive trailer on the back because that would just be another thing to go wrong, and it would probably have an issue with the jump. However, that is it for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching. If you have cars you would like to see me drive on Downhill Chaos, please do leave them in the comments section. I will have a look through, and the most popular will be in a video at some point. However, that is it for now, so until next time, goodbye.